Hey! Good afternoon, late morning on this Sunday. Hello, everybody. It's great to be back in studio on Sunday morning. Here, Kayla Abreu, my women's basketball ace, is in the building right here beside me, and we're going to talk about the WNBA All-Star Game last night, and we're going to start our Women's Greatest Player of All Time tournament bracket today around 12 o'clock. Of course, the Major League Baseball season is now in the second half, and I was at the All-Star Game in Atlanta, and it was my first time in Atlanta since I was a kid, since '93. So my first time there as an adult, and I've been able to go to the All-Star Game every year since 2017, and the first two All-Star games that I ever covered were in New York, 2008. That was my first one at the old Yankee Stadium, the last season of the old Yankee Stadium. That right there is one of the most memorable sporting events I've ever covered. So it's either that or another event that happened a year after that, and I've been able to cover a lot. I've been lucky enough to be able to cover a lot of really cool things, including the All-Star Game every year. But the first one, 2008, at the old Yankee Stadium, Major League Baseball invited every living Hall of Famer to the game. And that was the first time when I got a lot of interviews at the All-Star festivities, and every All-Star that I go to, I try and do the same thing. And of course, this past one, 2025, I was able to rack up, and that's the thing that I love the most about going to the All-Star, is that I'm able to get a lot of work done and really rack up on interviews and stories and all that. So, of course, I posted All-Star Day that I had a major, the debacle of all debacles. I was able to interview Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor in the clubhouse together. Of all the interviews I've done so far, like on video that you all have seen, I really started doing video. You know what? So it's interesting because the first time I started doing interviews on video, I've been interviewing these guys for almost 20 years, right? But it's all radio stuff. I started on radio. Radio's how I've been able to get into all of this stuff and have doors open for me and all that, with the work that I started at WBAI. That's really how it all started. And I'm going to be on there from 1 to 2 after this. And, but that's, how it all started. So the first time I started doing these interviews on video was really, the first one I did was 2 years ago at the All-Star Game in Seattle. And the first person that I interviewed on video was Harold Reynolds, former Major Leaguer. We see him now on MLB television. And he, before that, was with ESPN for a long time. So Harold Reynolds, of course, he played for the Seattle Mariners, and he made the All-Star team with Seattle in the 80s. And he also grew up in Portland, Oregon. I was talking to him about himself being a Portland Trailblazers fan growing up in the 70s, late 70s, when Bill Walton led the franchise to their only championship ever, as Dame Lillard, one of the Portland Trailblazers all-time players, signed back with them this past week. Yeah, well, Bill Walton is the only one, only Portland team to win a championship, 1977. It's still more recent than the Knicks' last championship of 1973. But yeah, Harold Reynolds, he's the first person that I interviewed on video. And and the interesting thing is that when I interviewed him, it was, So anyway, the last 2 years, I've been doing these interviews on video. So last year at the All-Star festivities, I was able to rack up and get a lot of interviews from these ball players, future stars, all-stars. And this year, it was the same thing. And enjoyed really getting a chance to meet a lot of the future stars, and then seeing the all-stars. And so it's crazy because Pete Alonso and Francisco, right? So like I was saying, of all the interviews that I've done, not one of them is with two people together, okay? All of them are solo. This right here was Alonso and Lindor together. I got them together, and it was magical. You know what I'm saying? It was magical. And they were the first two guys I interviewed. Like, ended up interviewing 8 All-Stars, right? And I could have got more, but after I realized that I didn't have the audio for these guys, really the first 4 guys. It wasn't even just Alonso and Lindor. It was Alonso and Lindor together. They were the first guys I got. The first interview I got, All-Star Day. Then I got Hunter Goodman, who's a rookie with the Colorado Rockies. His first year, he's having an outstanding season. Beastin'. He's a catcher. Interviewed him. I was happy to interview him. Told him how much I really enjoyed watching him play this year. Had never heard of him up until about 2 months ago or so. Rookie All-Star. Then I interviewed Mets pitcher David Peterson, right? Who 2 weeks ago, literally, I interviewed him at the Subway Series. And I was talking to him. And then, the All-Stars had not been announced yet. He had never made the All-Star team. And so I said, you know what? At the end of the day, you know what, David? Because he's had a really good year and all that. We talked about it. And I said, you know what? I hope he makes the All-Star team. Now, I wish him good luck. All that. So I got him. He was the 4th guy I interviewed, right? Those were the first 4 guys I interviewed in the All-Star locker room. And then, I just happened to know it. I said to myself, because, it's like, I have the way my audio setup works is, a piece broke about 3 weeks ago, whatever. So I had to get a new part. And the way I connect it is different now. And so basically I put my cord in the wrong jack. So after I did the Peterson interview, the 4th one, I was like, you know what, let me just check, my jack. And I looked, I could see it had it plugged into the wrong jack. And I knew that it was a wrap for the audio. So, that was rough. That was rough. I almost passed out in the middle of the locker room. I was so hurt. I almost passed out. I started sweating. I was like, all these All-Stars and reporters would have seen me pass down the floor. Like, what's wrong with him? So I had to compose myself.
They would have gave you another interview just because.
Yeah.
Passed out.
Yeah, I was like, David Peterson was still saying that. I was like, maybe I could go to him again and just tell him what happened. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that because, And then, of course, Alonso and Lindor, they were already out of the locker room. You know what I'm saying? I know it's crazy because I was so lucky because, I was literally the first person in there. You know what I'm saying? And so I got them, and, so I wanted to interview both of them. And then we was like, we could just do it together. You know what I'm saying? And so, no one else had that, And then, because, I could tell they weren't trying to be in there that long, so they gave me that, and, it was, perfect. And then, so they were already gone, but it was already, they had already hooked me up, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I just had to eat that, I just had to eat that, I was like, damn, they're gonna think I'm a fool anyway, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna do it like, it's mute. I had to plug it in wrong. Yeah. So, but so I'm gonna try and salvage a bad situation. So I had the video. The whole video is there. You know what I'm saying? Me talking to them. So I'm gonna write something and put it underneath the video, and might put some music to it. It's gonna be. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna do something dope. I have to, because it's worthy of that moment and the time they gave me, the gift they gave me. So I'm gonna write something. But it also made more work for myself. You know what I'm saying? Because now I gotta do this, so that's gonna take time for me to put this thing together now. You know what I'm saying? So I just made more work for myself by doing that. But it was very cool. And so I got so many, I got 9 guys at the Futures game, and then I got some good stuff, with HBCU Day.
I tell you how that's probably one of my favorite parts, the way you give so much attention to the younger players.
Yeah, thanks. And I really enjoyed that because the first All-Star game that I went to, 2008, and that was when my first Futures game I covered, and I was really interested to see how many Black American players were on the team. So that was back when they had USA versus the world. That's how it was split up. So it was prospects, MLB prospects who were born internationally, and USA born prospects. And then I wondered, okay, how many Black American players on the USA team. And so that year it was 3, and one of the players who was on it ended up being the MVP of the league 5 years later, Andrew McCutcheon of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's still playing right now. And so that was really cool, being able to interview him then and seeing his whole career and seeing him become an MVP of the league 5 years later, which was actually 5 years later, 2013. That was the next All-Star game that I covered. That was at Citi Field. And so, like that year, I interviewed a guy who ended up becoming the World Series MVP in 2017 for the Astros, George Springer, who is from Connecticut, matter of fact. And I interviewed somebody who I interviewed at the All-Star game this year, Minnesota Twins, Byron Buxton, center fielder. Byron Buxton, he was number 2 pick of the draft the year before in 2012. Carlos Correa was number 1 pick, who the Astros picked. They're actually now on the same team in Minnesota. Carlos Correa, he won championships with the Astros, but now he's with Minnesota. Him and Buxton are teammates. And Byron Buxton is somebody who had a lot of injuries over his career. So he's super talented. He's tall, about 6'5" or so maybe. Super fast, super strong, great, power on offense, power, speed on the base pass. Center field, played a great center field, but he's somebody who, stayed hurt all the time. Somebody who, could never play more than 80 games, it seemed like, for years. And then finally, 3 years ago in 2022, he made the All-Star team in LA. He ended up going back-to-back home run with Stanton in that game. And then he got last 2 years, more injuries than this year. He came back. He even got hurt, and he's even gotten hurt some this year, but not long stretches on the injured list. And he's had he's been outstanding when he's been on the field this year. So he made the All-Star team again. So, but yeah, every time, I go to the All-Star game, I try and interview the future stars, and like now that I'm able to do it on video, it makes me really want to, get in there even more, because a lot of times I felt like I was doing stuff and no one ever saw it or heard it, But when you're able to put your own stuff out, because of social media, I could play stuff on the radio, but then also I could put stuff out, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. But so I interviewed nine guys from the Future Stars game, including the Yankees' top prospect, George Lombard Jr. He got drafted last year in the first round. It's interesting because the Yankees, their first round pick in 2022, Spencer Jones, is somebody who the last 2 years I got a chance to meet at the Futures game, and he still has not been called up. He has not made his major league debut yet, and he's still in the minor leagues. This year he wasn't there probably because they were he's in AAA right now, so they know that he's already ready. But because he was the Yankees, and the Yankees already have, they got everything is taken up, all the spots are taken up. So it's hard to really, if you're a young guy, really break through with the Yankees and get a chance to really come up and play every day. They don't want to bring him up and have him on the bench, just not playing. So, but he's left-handed. He's like a left-handed hitter, basically the same height as Aaron Judge, right? So yeah. So you wonder if he could come up here and do something similar. Aaron Judge is all-time great at this point, but you wonder if he could come up and really be a force whenever he does get a chance. Spencer Jones, but I got a chance to meet him the last 2 years. Yeah.
Do those players get traded within the minor league and are able to make their debut with another major league team? The fact that you said the Yankees have all the spots taken up, are we wasting his talent or his prime when he could be probably taking up that position for another MLB team?
Yeah, sometimes that definitely does happen. Sometimes, it's all up to the team, But sometimes the team will trade them to another organization, and they'll make their debut somewhere else. We've seen that a lot of times, and it's funny because my favorite player when I was a kid, right? His name is Fred McGriff. He's the first baseman, and I actually met him for the first time at the All-Star festivities when I was down there, and I got a chance to tell him, right, all this, right? But his name is Fred McGriff. So when I was a kid, I was tall and skinny, and I played first base. So Fred McGriff was tall and skinny, and he played first base. So and he had a cool nickname, the Crime Dog, they called him. And so I first discovered him when he was with the San Diego Padres in like the early 90s. So he ended up getting traded to the Atlanta Braves and all that. So, but the thing about him, which I never knew until like years after, watching him, years after I became a fan of his, is that the Yankees had him originally. He was originally with the Yankees organization, and the Yankees, before he made his major league debut, I don't think he ever played a game for the Yankees, but he was in the Yankees minor league system, and they ended up trading him, and he made the Hall of Fame like last year. So that was always the trade. Like when the Yankees, before they got good in the mid-90s, people would always kill them and say, oh, they traded away so many young guys when they were like prospects for, like has-beens, and the player ended up becoming a star elsewhere. Fred McGriff was one of those guys. So, so like some guys who are really stars or whatever, in the minor league prospects, top prospects, some of them get traded to another organization and make their debut there and all that, and end up playing. So, Spencer Jones, who the Yankees have, #1 pick in 2022, went to Vanderbilt, which is like a powerhouse college school. And the last 2 years, I met him and interviewed him both years. First year is funny because this was very cool because that was the first year of the HBCU game. So I was wearing like this bright green Norfolk State shirt, and so on the plane and whatnot. And so he actually was on my plane. I didn't know who he was at the time, and so was CC Sabathia. He was on the plane too. 2 years ago, going to Seattle. CC is going to the Hall of Fame like 2 weeks. So I was on the plane. When I got off the plane, I saw all these people who were like going up to this tall kid, asking him for autographs and whatnot. So I was like, okay. I asked somebody who he was. They were like, Spencer Jones, the Yankees #1 pick last year. I was like, oh yeah, I knew the name, but I didn't know how he looked. So I was like, oh snap. So okay. So then the next day, at the Futures game, I went to the clubhouse, and I went up to him. I said, I want to introduce myself to you. And he was like, yeah, I saw you on the plane yesterday. I saw your shirt, He was like so bright. I went like, yeah. He was like, I saw your shirt on the plane yesterday. I saw you. And so we started talking. And so that was 2022. That was 2023. Then last year in Texas, he was there again. So I saw him again, interviewed him on video last year. The first year I got him on recorder. So I got him last year. So this year, he still has not made his major league debut, but he wasn't.
I hope he gets his debut soon.
It's
so rare that you see a #1 pick. At least not rare in the MLB, but rare for NBA or other sports that a #1 pick is 3 years still in the minor leagues.
Yeah, and he's and the thing too. So like the trade deadline is coming up for the MLB. So I'm hoping that he does not get traded for a good major league player right now that can come and help them now, because so that's always something you got to worry about, because other teams are going to be asking for him, I'm sure. So I hope that he but he gets traded somewhere where he can play. Then more power to him, because I'm sure he's sick of toiling away in the minor leagues right now. But but that's also the very interesting thing about baseball, is that baseball and major leagues and minor leagues and all these players, like, it's very humbling, because it's the only sport, unlike NBA, WNBA, MLB, NFL, where those sports, you get drafted and you're automatically on a pro team, automatically. Like, there's no minor leagues that you got to go to. The NBA has G League, but, only, like, fringe draftees get sent there anyway. If you are a top first-round pick in the NBA, you're not going to a G League. You're going to be on a big league team right away. NFL, same thing. You get drafted, you're on a pro team, the big league team. With MLB, you get drafted, and you got to go to the minor leagues first, everybody. And, there's a lot of guys who get picked in the first round. It's kind of like, with all the other sports. All the other sports with NBA and NFL, you look at every first round, every draft, half of the guys, if you go to any draft, that was not this year, like you go to like a draft 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, half of the guys on the list, did nothing, and were like complete busts, Mm-hmm. And for a lot of the guys, you don't even remember who they are. Like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Because they did nothing, really. But at least they do get a chance to be on the pro team. They just they're not work out, but they get a chance to be a pro and play for that team that drafted them. But the MLB, same thing. You just look at that first round. A lot of guys don't make it. Turn out to be busts. But those guys never even get to the pro team. They don't even get to the major leagues. They don't get through the minor leagues. So like you look
And minor league doesn't only have one. With AAA, it's different
levels. Yes. Single A, double A, triple A, and like single A has like more than one level. It's like high A, low A, and
but a luxury to have. I mean, the WNBA has no development league.
Yeah.
Well, the MLB has 5 different levels.
Yeah,
that's something I know WNBA players would be ecstatic to have.
Yeah, because
to be able to just come into the league, and if they don't make it pro, they get cut in 2 weeks of training camp, and either are stuck with
nothing,
losing their degrees and getting a real job, or playing overseas, which is very difficult, being so far in a different country and just getting acclimated to that. But that's something we would look forward to, and the WNBA would be ecstatic to have. But you can also see the downside of having too many levels, or
but I mean, like to your point, it's that's something that Curtis Granderson, a former MLB player, brought up to me like when I interviewed him back when he was playing, and he was saying, I was talking to him about how we were about like lack of interest that a lot of Black American kids had towards baseball. He was like, one thing that they don't think about or forget is that there's a lot of jobs. Even not in the big league, like the minor leagues had a lot of jobs where you can get paid to play baseball. A good salary, even if you're not on the major league level. And that's, but the other sports, there's not that. The NBA, there's not, no minor leagues. In the football, there's no minor leagues.
Does hockey have any?
Hockey, has, I think hockey, has some kind of minor league system,
Mm-hmm.
But, even though it's not major leagues, if you're in the minor league, that's still professional baseball, and you're getting paid and all that. And Curtis Granderson said that's one thing that a lot of kids don't think about. Also, but so you're right. So like, if the WNBA had a minor league system where anything like as big as baseball, then there would be a lot of women who could still get paid to play basketball, even if they're not in the WNBA.
Even a quarter of what baseball has. It's just at least something where they can still develop their skills and still be in the States.
And so like with these baseball players though, so like even though they get a chance to still get paid to play professionally when in the minor leagues, and still when they can get to the big leagues, they're going to get paid more, and they're going to get to shine, and they're going to get their dreams. So that like in terms of like keeping these guys are humbled by the process, because it's hard to get to the big leagues. Once you get drafted, you still got to put in a lot of work, and they still got to prove themselves before they can even get to the major league team and get all the shine and glory and all that. Can we in the minor leagues, like nobody sees you, everybody forgets about you, just like you're just down there just grinding, taking bus rides to little small towns, and people forget about you. So when these guys finally make it to the big leagues, it's like it's some guys don't ever get there, It's like it's really fascinating when you look at it and look at the futures game and just look at some guys who if you get picked in the first round, you're going to really get the most chances to show that you either can or can't do it. And then if you get picked late, you're probably not going to get as much of a chance as some of the higher picks. So like you got to really ball out, to really get people to take you seriously and to get moved up to minor league. So it's very interesting. But So there are some guys who got drafted because the Major League Baseball draft is the same time as the All-Star festivities. Like the futures game is literally like on Saturday of the All-Star weekend, and then the next Sunday is the draft. So like think about like last year's draft, 2024. There was the futures game, 2024 futures game. Then the next day was the draft, 2024. So like you had like a handful of guys who have already made their major league debut from that draft before this year's Futures game, which would have been a year after they were drafted. So a lot of the guys who I did interview at the Futures game this year had got drafted last year at the same time. So that's like okay,
right
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
Have to wait a whole entire year to play for the Futures.
But then like there are some guys who already made their debut, like maybe even last year before last year ended. Because the draft this year, it's unlikely, but there could be a guy from this year's draft last week that plays for the debuts for their team sometime before this year ends. It's unlikely, but there was like one player last year who did that, and then by this time this year, there were a few players who, not a lot, like 2 or 3 that already made their debut, which is like wow, because to just make it to the Futures game a year after you get drafted is really impressive, And then there are some guys who you meet who have got drafted a few years ago and finally making the Futures game, so it's very interesting. But
that's an interesting draft date as well.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You see a lot of sports league, their draft is way after the season ends.
Mm-hmm.
Closer to midpoint before the season starts.
Yeah.
But having it during All-Star weekend.
Yeah. And that's one thing that they did so they could kind of like bring more attention to the draft, because the baseball draft was not anything that anybody really like watch or pay attention to. So
like the NFL where people are tailgating for 3 days.
Right. Or the NBA, everybody loves seeing that. Right, exactly.
It has a new format now, doesn't it? A couple days.
Yeah, 2 days now. The NBA, they had the first round one day and then the second round the next day.
I was so confused when I looked at the ESPN draft. I'm like, 2-day event?
Yeah. And another really cool thing about the All-Star event is like, because I've been covering sports and like covering these games and whatnot for almost 20 years now. So there's a lot of players who were like, a lot of players who were my age, right? Who, when I started covering the game, they were like in their 20s and playing and whatnot. And so, it's funny, thinking about it's funny because when I first started covering the game, a lot of players who were older than me too, who like I had watched and whatnot, like Ken Griffey Jr. was still playing. Barry Bonds was still playing when I first started covering. My first year covering the game was 06. Bonds retired in 07, Griffey in like 010, whatever. And I interviewed Griffey in 2007. So, but there were a lot of players who were older than me who I had been watching growing up, And so it was like, wow, kind of like they were kind of your heroes, especially Ken Griffey Jr. So you're interviewing them, and they're like older than you, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And then there were some players who were my age, you know what I'm saying? And then there were some players who were a little bit younger than me when I first started covering. But now like, I'm older than all the players, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I hope to get there.
Oh, you definitely will. And then so it's like, so it's interesting what's just the conversation, like in terms of the history of the game. I know more than all of them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially
yeah. So like I'll be telling them things, you know what I'm saying? Like when I first started, it was like guys who were like veterans, and I'm in my 20s, they're in their 30s and whatnot,
I mean, some rookies playing right now probably weren't even born when you started covering.
Yeah, I mean, so 2006, 2006. So there could be a 19-year-old. I got to see. Yeah, that's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's interesting. But anyway, so there's some players. There's some black players who are like my age group who were playing and who I was covering, and they've retired now. Like CC Sabathia. Who, like, every time I see him, he shows love. Because there's not a lot of black people who, like, are out there covering stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, like, they definitely all recognize me and have been seeing me for years. And so, like, every time I see CC, like, he always shows me love. And as soon as I'm going to get him, I'm going to interview him on video one of these days. Yeah. And so, like, him and Curtis Granderson, who is someone else who, I mean, I've interviewed him as much as I've interviewed any ball player, but when he was playing, he's the same age as me. We were born the same year. And so him, CC, and this other black pitcher, Edwin Jackson, when they retired, they formed this organization called the Players Alliance, trying to get more like black kids, black Americans into the game, interested in the game and all that. So every year they have an all-star party, all-star event and all that. So like that's always, last 2 years I went to it. I mean, it's great, you know. I mean, the food, oh man, the food is like just you know, all you can eat buffet, open bar. So like it's always dope. That's dope.
Sounded
you know?
like my little brother. Don't talk to him about food. He loves a good time.
Yeah. Oh man, so like it's great seeing those guys, you know, and they've been retired a few years now, but you know, like it's cool seeing them now, like, retired outside of the game, and you know, I'm still covering the game, and all those guys are retired. But you know, that's the one good thing about like being covering sports, unlike you know playing it. You know, when you play it, you can only play for so long, you know.
Right.
But when you're covering it, you can cover it all your life, you know. But yeah. So that's one of the things that I really have enjoyed the last 2 years at the All-Star festivities.
And it really warms my heart because I know here one time we had a very emotional episode when you got into fencing.
Oh
and
yeah.
you were saying how having young black kids get into different types of sports. The other day I was at the Armory, Harlem Children's Old Armory, in Harlem, and I saw a bunch of black kids having fencing lessons.
Yeah, wow.
So it was, just refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Kids getting into different kinds of sports.
Definitely, yeah. And like, before Peter Westbrook, who you're talking about, who he had a fencers academy in Manhattan, and he resided in Harlem, and he sent so many black fencers to the Olympics. And before him, you wouldn't even hear about blacks fencing at all. So yeah. I mean, so and like baseball, the thing there where it was once like very popular in the black community and an integral part of the black community, and then I just feel like basketball just became so popular and so exciting for black kids.
Too.
Yeah, and I mean there's a lot of different reasons why like the interest level kind of like declined with a lot of black youth, but I just feel like the cool factor around baseball kind of like left and wasn't really there the way definitely is around the NBA and whatnot.
Yeah, the swag that the NBA has is not
Uh-huh.
the same as MLB.
Yeah, and
I think it's coming back.
Yeah. I mean, because there's definitely a lot of swagalicious players in MLB, but but the future.
Our very own Chaz.
Jazz to the, he definitely, and he's great for New York. When the Yankees got him, I was like, he's perfect. 'Cause he's somebody that can get black kids in the hood interested in baseball. Like he
more international kids as well, just not the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, even having representing the Bahamas.
Yeah, and he's from the Bahamas. Yeah, and there's a lot of athletes from the Bahamas who are really like starting to show out. I mean, for one, so there's like the number one prospect in the Texas Rangers organization. His name is Sebastian Walcott. He's from the Bahamas. He's like one of the top 5 prospects in baseball, maybe top 3. And so he is close to Jazz. And I met him last year at the Futures game in Texas, where he was playing. Like I said, he's in the Texas Rangers organization, so he was playing. That's where it was last year, the Futures game, All-Star game in Texas. I met him last year, and he was there again this year. I interviewed him again. I have not even posted that interview yet, but interviewed him again. He's from the Bahamas. And then the Philadelphia 76ers just drafted this guy, number 3 overall, named BJ Edgecombe, who was from the Bahamas. But it's cool. And I love when the players get called up, like guys who I met at the Futures game, and then I get to see him in the big leagues, years later, and then talk to them. Then like one player who I met 2 years ago. Oh yeah, and you and I talked about this also. We talked about siblings being drafted number 1 overall and all that. So I'll tell you about.
Possibility.
Yeah. So Jackson Holiday, he was picked number 1 overall in the Major League Baseball draft 3 years ago, by Baltimore, number 1 overall as a shortstop, infielder. So 2 years ago in Seattle, that was his 1-year anniversary after being drafted, and I met him at the Futures game in Seattle. Interviewed him, right? And I was kind of surprised to get him, but he was right there. I started talking to him, interviewed him. So then last year, he made his debut in the major leagues, and so I interviewed him last year. After meeting him and interviewing him the previous year at the Futures game, Jackson Holiday, very cool. He's a great kid. When I first met him, I was like, yo, he's so humble. You would not even think that he was the first pick in the baseball draft. And he looked like a little kid too. Like he looked like a straight up little kid.
Baby
yeah. I'm like, he was the first pick in the draft. Like, it don't even seem real, you know. So then he made his debut last year, and
did he gain some muscle after?
You know what? I mean, he still looked like, when I saw him last year, he still looked like a kid when I met him last year.
Okay.
And then like, he kind of struggled when they first called him up, and then they sent him back down. Remember, like first pick in the draft, they sent him back down. Then they called him back up last year. He started playing better. Then this year he's played pretty good this year, and he's like the leadoff hitter for Baltimore. He had about like 14, 15 home runs, which for a middle infielder is very good. You know, like for his size, you would not think that he had power like that, but you know he did because being the first pick in the draft. But yeah, so he's one of those he's one of those guys who's not that big but has power and he has speed. He's very talented. His father is a former multiple-time All-Star, Matt Holliday.
Makes sense.
Played for Colorado. Yeah.
Being so good at.
So then his little brother, this year's draft now, 3 years later, high school, both of them, you know, drafted out of high school. His younger brother, Ethan Holliday, he's like bigger than Jackson. He's like bigger, and he's being projected as, you know, he could be somebody that could hit 30 home runs and really like be that kind of beast. And they say Jackson has more speed and Ethan has more power, whatever. So he was, you know, people thought he was being projected as possibly being the first pick in the draft this year, which they would have been the first two brothers picked number one overall in a MLB draft. And so, but he actually got picked like fourth or fifth.
Wow.
By Colorado, which is the team that his father was with. But like watching the draft, they were saying that, you know, one reason why might have been because the guy who got picked first overall was another shortstop like Ethan Holliday from, you know, Oklahoma, as is Ethan Holliday. But they were saying that Ethan Holliday kind of had like a contract demand that, you know, like the team who drafted Washington didn't like want to have to give him as much money. So I think it could have been about money or whatever. But they were saying that Ethan Holliday could be the biggest star in the draft. So we'll see. But so anyway, Jackson, you know, I met 2 years ago. So we'll see about Ethan next year. I might get to meet him at the Futures Game draft, at the Futures Game next year.
All-Star game.
Yeah. But so anyway, enough of that. Now it's 12 o'clock now, so we're going to turn our attention to WNBA stuff, and there was a lot that has gone on. Now we last were in the studio 3 weeks ago, and so we're going to get to our women's greatest player of all time bracket tournament that we have this summer. And then the last night was the WNBA All-Star Game. So, yeah, I didn't see much of it, so yeah, you got to tell me about...
We'll get into that. So we'll start off with yesterday's event, right? All-Star Game in Indiana, hosting the All-Star Game. I believe NBA All-Star Game last year was also in Indiana, right?
Yeah, the NBA was, yeah.
Yeah, also in Indiana. Yeah. So I was expecting a lot.
Not this past season, 2 years ago.
The one before that one.
Yeah, I forgot where it was this year.
We'll search it up. But I was expecting a lot from Indiana, you know, when I saw the NBA All-Star Game, all the posters down at the hotel, JW Marriott, filled with Nike advertising. In the airport, they had a full-size NBA court. And they pulled out those same tricks for the WNBA. Love to see it. Having Caitlin Clark with her Nike commercial hanging in her city. Lots of clips and videos of the city actually embracing, bringing that vibe, that all-star vibe to Indiana. The all-star game this year was set up in Team Collier versus Team Clark, who were the highest vote getters for this year's all-star. Team Collier, similar to NBA games, NBA where we see LeBron and KD draft their players.
Yeah, be captains.
Right, so Collier and Clark were named captains. They had a nice segment.
Were they named captains because they got the top two vote getters?
Exactly.
Okay.
You know what, for All-Star Game, I believe it's 50% the fan voting, so they definitely won the popular contest, and rightfully so. I think Clark, especially being in Indiana and what she has done so far, and Collier being the top runner for MVP this season. So I think the fans got the captains right this year. Was glad to see that. Collier drafted Nneka Okumbeke from Seattle. Madam President Breonna Stewart from the New York Liberty. Paige Beckers getting her first All-Star from Dallas.
Yes.
And Alicia Gray, Atlanta's guard, last year's skills challenge winner and three-point contest winner, also making, I think, her first WNBA All-Star start.
You know what? I just want to say, because I was thinking about it, so the past All-Star game, NBA this past year, Golden State.
Golden State. Okay, there we go. And for the reserves for Collier, we had McBride, who was chosen to replace Ryan Howard, who was out on injury. Skylar Diggins, Kelsey Plum with Los Angeles, first year with a different team. Always been an All-Star with Las Vegas. Got her first nod with LA.
When I turned to the game yesterday, she was talking she was talking to the broadcast crew.
Yeah, for sure. Alyssa Thomas. Also her first All-Star with another team.
Okay, yeah.
Has played her entire career with Connecticut, been All-Star a few times now with the Phoenix Mercury. And Courtney Williams, one of two stud buds who really carried the whole weekend on her back with her streams, was also named a reserve for Team Collier. Of course, Nafisa drafted her teammate. And then moving on to Team Clark with Kelsey Mitchell, her teammate, who replaced her as a starter because of Clark's injury. Jackie Young replacing Satu Sabali, another Phoenix Mercury, was chosen. AB, Aaliyah Boston.
Jackie Young is with the Aces right now, right?
Yes, Jackie Young was drafted by the Aces, still with the Aces. Was chosen as a reserve, but just chosen to replace Satu as a starter. Aaliyah Boston, another hometown Indiana player. Sabrina Ionescu. Of course, my girl Asia Wilson, who was also on minute restrictions with her injury. And for the reserves, we had Brittany Sykes from Washington, who was also chosen as a replacement. She was probably the biggest All-Star snub to me when the list came out. So having her be chosen to replace someone was great news, but I think she should have gotten the nod to begin with. The fact that Washington started off 0-12 last season, and to have them where they're at with two rookie players, her being the leading scorer, I really believe Brittany.
You know what I want to ask you about that too? Aaliyah Edwards. Now, how did she fall out of favor in Washington?
I mean, I feel Kiki Uriafen has really taken that stardom. She was in some trade talks recently.
Aaliyah Edwards.
Edwards. She hasn't been producing as much as Kiki and Sonia Citron have been able to. But I think it's too many players with the same position. I feel like she would excel better in a different team, and I was actually excited when I saw the ESPN notification about Aaliyah Edwards in those trade talks, hoping to see her in a different team. I mean, she's such a professional. I think she should have been the number one pick that draft easily. Has played in Canada,
and
overseas.
Now she was in the same draft though as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, right?
Yes, I mean I know she was not going to be the number one pick, but could have easily been up there, top three. I think she went 6 or 7, I believe, to Washington right before. Before Angel.
For those that don't know, she's a UConn girl, so we know how good they are.
I mean, you've seen her one-on-one skills during Unrivaled. The way she beat Breonna Stewart, didn't even allow Stewie to score. So I mean, she has a lot of talent.
Yes, that right there is a serious statement to beat Breonna Stewart, and in one-on-one, both of them UConn, Breonna Stewart, I mean, she's going to be up, battling for maybe the GOAT in our bracket, and Aaliyah Edwards shut her out. Wow. Yeah, what about that? Yeah.
0-14, like that's a lot of bragging rights about Aaliyah Boston. I wouldn't let Gino or Breonna Stewart let that one die down. But we'll see what Washington does this second half of the season and how they continue to use these pieces. But I definitely think Aaliyah Edwards could shine better and could definitely help any team to a deep playoff run. So Brianna Jones from the Atlanta Dream was also chosen as a replacement. Gabby Williams, first-time All-Star with Seattle. Kiki Iriafen and Sonia Citron, both rookies from Washington. I think this is the second time two rookies have made it to the All-Star game. Last year, of course, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. We've had Candace Parker, but I think this is the second time that has happened. And of course, my girl Kayla Thornton, a former Liberty off the bench last year, has been amazing for the Valkyries.
She's balling.
Definitely deserved this nod. Was the last for Team Clark.
Your namesake, Your namesake, She's,
my
she's
twin.
Yeah, she's balling,
But it was a great All-Star game. We had Glorilla at halftime. The players were loving it.
Okay.
Everybody was loving it. I would have really loved to see Caitlin Clark play. That was probably the worst part of the weekend. I mean, she's dealing with a groin injury. But to be hosting in Indiana, that we know that fan base is just amazing. The way they've been able to hold their team up.
You know what? It's very interesting. Like, sometimes sports, things can be set up to be so dope, and then things don't go as planned. And so for the women's All-Star game, Caitlin Clark. So the All-Star game being in Indiana, like, it was set up for it to be, a great weekend for her and for the league, because Caitlin Clark not playing the game, it's a letdown, for the fans in Indiana and just for the fans nationwide. But she also would have been a part of the 3-point shootout, which her and Sabrina had never even battled in that competition before. So that right there would have been something that everybody would have been watching. So it took her out of both events. So that was like, so hopefully next year she gets back in there. But now I was going to say, though, so like it's a little bit interesting because like the Yankees have a pitcher, Max Fried, who was his first year with the Yankees, a big free agent signing. They got him from Atlanta, and he was with Atlanta like his first 7 years, won a championship there 2021, and he was set to return and pitch in the All-Star game, maybe start, but he got a blister on his finger. And then the Yankees opened in Atlanta too, second half, so they're right now, first 3 games. He could have even pitched in this series, but couldn't because of the blister. So,
yeah. I mean, injuries are where the Liberty owns Indiana. We have 2 New York Knicks fans up here, and we didn't leave Indiana with a good taste, but it was nice to see New York take Indiana by storm Friday night. Starting off with the skills challenge, we had Natasha Cloud competing for the Liberty, also competing against Erica Wheeler, former Indiana player now with the Seattle Storm, who got so much love from the fans, played a few years there in Indiana. Defending champion Alicia Gray, who last year won not only the skill challenge, but also won the 3-point contest, the first time to win both events, was competing. Skylar Diggins, of course, another great guard. And Natasha Cloud knocked out Erica Wheeler in the last round by 1.1 second. Won the prize, over $50,000. Said she was going to use it as a down payment for a house. So glad to see Natasha still be a part of All-Star Weekend, even though she didn't make the All-Star game, which was one of those players who was a snub. But I understand also why she didn't make it. Started off the season strong. Great scoring ability, one of the best defensive guards. But as the Liberty lost players throughout the season, like Leonie Fibich and JJ and even Savs had a couple times over injury, I feel like she wasn't able to really get them continue winning and really get lead the team and continue them over that hump. Of course, you're missing key pieces, but I think that affected her numbers a little bit. But it was still great to see her in All-Star game. Sabrina took back her 3-point crown.
Yeah, that was good to see.
That was something. I mean, we know she set the record in 2023.
Yes.
With 37 points, the most in WNBA and NBA 3-point contest ever. That's what led to the famous Stephen Curry versus Sabrina at the NBA All-Star game.
Where she gave Steph a run for his money last year, and she almost beat him. In that.
Yeah, she definitely did. That's why I was looking forward to Caitlin Clark versus Sabrina. They both declined last year. Yeah. So I was like, well, this is the year. It's in Indiana. We're finally get the matchup that we've all been waiting for to really see who's the best sharpshooter. We know Caitlin Clark can shoot from anywhere, but just Sabrina's stroke, and when she gets into rhythm, it's really unstoppable. But another impressive performance, 30 points.
30 points, yeah. Nah, yeah, like, you know what? She's a weird player at times because, like, she, I don't want to call her streaky, but it's like she has some games like that where she just on, and then she has games like the finals, the last game in the finals, where she was like 1 for 18, 1 for 19, whatever it was.
And then shot that huge shot
in
the fourth quarter to win.
In the previous game. Yeah, and then there was another game, in the previous year's finals where she was like ice cold too. Like she has games.
Even now, before All-Star break, a couple weeks before All-Star break, she was in a slump. She was shooting less than 30%.
Yeah, because she has some games where she's like ice cold, and then she has games where she's like looks like the #1 pick where she was.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say she's a streaky shooter. But one thing about Sabrina,
she's a gamer.
She's gonna hit the shot that counts.
She's a gamer, and I like her demeanor and all that. Yeah, I like her.
That win sort of added her to the list, joining Allie Quigley to win multiple 3-point contests. Allie Quigley has won 4.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully Sabrina Ionescu, I think she is other player who can make it, and just good company to be in.
Yes, for sure.
And we bring it to yesterday night where we had the All-Star game. Like I said, I already named the players: Collier versus Clark. Skylar Diggins, former Miss Indiana, set a record-breaking All-Star game, the first ever triple-double.
Really?
In an All-Star game. Wow. She had 15 assists, 11 points, 11 rebounds.
Nice. Yeah, she's been at it for a minute.
Yeah, she's been at it for a minute. She was drafted by Tulsa, started with the Shock, then moved to Dallas when they changed teams, made her way to Phoenix, now with Seattle. Has given birth to 2 children and been able to come back every time and still play at such a high level, 100%. She got a lot of love from the crowd in Indiana. She played in Notre Dame with Jewel Lloyd. And she definitely showed out for them. Most assists in the All-Star game as well with 15.
Do you remember because interested in seeing how people had different phases, and Skylar Diggins definitely has, had different phases and transformed a lot, because she seems like a totally different person compared to when she first came on the scene, out of Notre Dame. Remember, everybody she was she's a very pretty girl, so she was big because she was a really good baller and she was attractive, and Drake took her to the ESPYs or something like that.
Yeah, she was at the ESPYs, and I think Drake was hosting that year.
And
she was one of the presenters. Right? No, she was presenting an award. And during the red carpet, they had a moment. I guess he was already there at the carpet when she walked in. During the presentation as well, she kissed his cheek, and it supposedly left the kiss mark on his cheek. It was part of the entertainment.
Yeah. So they never.
But I think they actually did date.
I thought I remember them going on a date or something like that. But Drake is big, so so
that All-Star, that draft, had a spark in numbers. I remember one day I was looking at the most viewed draft, and I was looking back all the way to 2013, I believe, 2014, and there was such a huge spark in numbers, and I'm like, why? And when I go and check the players who were drafted that year, of course, it was Skylar Diggins-Smith, and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I remember, I remember she was hanging with Drake for a minute, but but now that was years ago.
OG baddie, before Angel Reese and Asia Wilson and.
Right. She was that before them, before anybody even thinking about any of them, right? Yeah. That's what she was. Drake. She was hanging with Drake and all that, and but you see her now, and now she's a different person. She don't even have that kind of.
Persona. She was older, in her late 30s already. Has 2 children.
Yeah, and she's she's a real serious person. I see her talking and whatnot, so you wouldn't think that. So, but like I said, but shout out to her because she's been playing for a long time now.
Yeah, she's definitely been elite and been playing at a high level for a while.
Yeah.
I think she could have easily won co-MVP. The MVP of this game was team captain Afisa Collier. A front runner for MVP this season, I think.
Yeah.
I think she has it in the bag already with 36 points, 9 rebounds in the All-Star game, a new All-Star game scoring record.
Yeah, she definitely has seemed like she's been on a mission this year.
She definitely has after losing the finals to the Liberty in 5 games in New York. I think she is ready to take to take back and to really lead her team into the finals. And they're number 1 right now, 20-4. Came into All-Star Weekend with a 2-game winning streak. They did lose to Chicago, but nothing to worry about when you have MVP caliber Nafisa Collier on your team. And it was interesting. She set the new All-Star Game scoring record. So 3 records were broken last night. And the person who had the record before that was Arike Ogunbowale.
Yes. Yes. Now, was she not on the team?
She was not in the All-Star.
Wow.
In the All-Star team. After last All-Star game, she had 2 points in the first half and ended with 34.
Yes. Okay. Now,
which is insane. Her scoring ability. We know she's one of the best ISO players. We know that's your girl, but I mean, Dallas is 6-17 right now. 6 wins, 17 losses. They're on a 4-game losing streak.
And so, the one All-Star they got was Paige.
Yes, the one All-Star Dallas got was Paige. She has been averaging more than Arike. I honestly don't know what's going on that much in Dallas. I think it's the coaching system, probably.
Right.
Because this is very rare of Arike. I mean...
Now the coach, it's a new coach?
It's his first-time head coach. I believe him and his sister are head coach and assistant coach.
Really?
I don't have his name at the top of my head right now, but...
Because the coach they had last year was like a southern white woman with glasses.
Right, and they turned down Lisa Leslie, who had interviewed for the job.
Had Leslie coached anywhere before?
She has not coached in the WNBA.
No, definitely not. No, she hasn't.
I think she has been part of some staff, but I don't think she's been head coach.
So why did they fire the woman who was there before? Like, she seemed like she had...
I mean, Dallas has had a losing record. I mean, they got the number 1 pick, Paige Becker. They've had a losing record for a few years now, despite having Arike and big stars like Satu. Satu was on the team last year. They made it to the playoffs, got swept by the Aces.
2 years ago.
Right, 2 years ago.
And last year they didn't do anything?
No.
Okay.
So it was time for somebody new in the front seat.
Got you.
I don't know if it's just been hard for Arike to play with Paige because since she's been such a ball dominant player.
That team seems like it has some drama going on, like some locker room issues. Now I'm not sure if it was you, but somebody like when she got drafted, somebody was saying that she didn't want to talk on Paige.
It didn't seem like
she didn't want to go there.
To be
from the jump
in Dallas. I mean, of course she took it gracefully and it was excited to be drafted, but you can tell, as anyone, there's some cities that you would prefer more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Melissa Smith, who was recently traded to the Aces.
Mm-hmm.
The Aces have been at a rocky start, not like last year. They're at the 8th seed right now. Something rare. We've seen pure dominance from them the last 4 years. Made a move to get Melissa Smith from Dallas. Right. Which she had just been traded from Indiana. This was her first season in Dallas. Right. With her girlfriend, actually, Dejanay Carrington.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see that split up.
Because I heard a report, because neither Dejanay Carrington nor Elijah Smith, who are a couple, neither one of them were on Dallas last year. So I heard a report where they said that Dallas signed Elijah Smith because they wanted Dejanay Carrington to be on the team. So in order to get Carrington, they signed Elijah. Like now,
I doubt that because at the end of the day, they're professionals.
Yeah.
There's not that many roster spots. There's only 13, now. Sorry, Valkyries. I always forget you. Mm-hmm. 13 teams now, 12 roster spots in each, and you don't have the luxury to be picky. Yeah. It may seem that way. It might seem that way for DeWanna Bonner, who has made her way to the Phoenix Mercury to reunite once again with her fiance, Alyssa Thomas. But DeWanna Bonner's on the back end of her career. You're not going to pay her as much as Dejanay, who just won Most Improved Player of the Year. So I don't think she really has that power to make those kind of demands, Dejanay and Melissa as well. So I doubt that Melissa was probably part of the package to convince her to get over there. But it was obviously nice, you're living in the same city as your partner. But
it's like, to me, the fact that they traded her, it seemed like, okay, and the team started off so bad, like it seemed like something in the clubhouse was like just off,
Yeah, I think it's definitely something with coaching. I've seen Dejanay, the way she's spoken to the coach. and body languages when he's calling out stuff to the players. And you can tell, I don't think they're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Kalani Brown as well at the beginning of the season.
Kalani Brown's with Phoenix now, right?
Tierra McCowan, sorry.
Oh, okay.
The other twin tower. They both played in Dallas last year. Now, Brown is with Phoenix and McCowan is with Dallas. But hopefully Dallas could flip things around as the second half of the season starts. I know Enrique probably felt some type of way not being an all-star. Probably this puts the battery in her back to really sit down and see which way she can lead this team.
Gotcha.
But I was rooting for a co-MVP this year. It's never happened in the WNBA All-Star Game. I know the first time ever for NBA was Bob Pettit and Elgin Baylor.
Yeah, you know, and
1959.
Okay, nice. And you know, I can remember it happening twice. It happened once in Utah, I believe.
Yes, Karl
and John Stockton.
And then most recently, Shaq and Kobe.
Shaq and Kobe won it in Phoenix,
and Shaq did it twice. I think he did it once with Tim Duncan as well in like 2000.
He might have.
Yeah, so it's happened 4 times already in the NBA.
Okay.
Never in the WNBA, but I think last night would have been a perfect day for that to happen. But other things we can add into All-Star Weekend, I felt like it was a short weekend. You were talking about MLB, how they have Future Game, where they have the younger generation showcase, Home Run Derby, all that good stuff, and the actual All-Star Game. NBA, where you have the Rising Stars Challenge. You have celebrity games the night before. Something that we don't have that they have is the dunk contest. And then, of course, the actual All-Star Game. And I think that it's time for the WNBA to actually expand or add another event to All-Star Weekend. I mean, the fans are there. People are actually going. It was a sold-out crowd in Indiana. Actually, Angel Reese even got a standing ovation in Indiana. I know Chicago is close enough, but it was surprising to see such a positive environment for the WNBA, especially after all they've dealt with the last year with negativity. But with that being said, people are watching. Why not add maybe a one-on-one event after the three-point challenge? You know, in NBA All-Star Weekend, you look forward to a skills challenge, three-point, and then a dunk. Maybe adding the 1v1 that did so well in Unrivaled to WNBA All-Star Weekend. How would you feel about that kind of tournament?
Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would be good because, I was going to ask you, because you said you thought they should add more stuff to it, so I was going to ask you what you thought they should add to it. So the one-on-one, that would be good.
3-on-3 could be even lighter on the body. Since
I think one-on-one would be good because, I think if it's 3-on-3, you know, they may not take it as serious, you know. But like when it's one-on-one, everybody takes one-on-one with pride, you know.
Yeah.
So one-on-one would be because people would watch one-on-one, you know.
Yeah, you have bragging rights, and I mean it went so well and Unrivaled, like the matchup we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
We never would have thought when we turned on Unrivaled that Aaliyah Edwards was going to beat Breonna Stewart. Not only beat her, but not allow her to score at all. So it really showcased these young players and what they can do.
I mean, look, if you, I mean, and this, I know this will never happen because it would be too good to be true, but you put a kid in a Clark and Reese one-on-one, what? What?
It's unfair. A big and a guard.
Yeah,
I think we need, there will be some rules to the matchups that we can allow. Or we can even have some on-court beefs. You know, the WNBA is always fighting during the games, always getting technicals. We should solve those beefs during All-Star Weekend and just have those one-on-ones.
That would be dope.
That would be a good event. There's a lot of other events I feel like can help as well. Something to help the newer generation, like something similar to Futures or to Rising Stars, would be maybe a college showcase the night before. Turn it into a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. And on Friday night, maybe have all these NCAA stars that have really taken over. You have Juju, Flage, Malaysia,
AZ
Fudd. People who have a huge following. Not that it wasn't as common as before. Now with NIL, these people have more followers than some WNBA players. You know, so to have them showcase their talent and it would be even great for the players to get those nerves out, see what an All-Star Weekend looks like, would be a good idea as well.
That would be a good idea. Yes.
And get the WNBA fans excited of what's coming to the league.
Yeah, they definitely should do that. Definitely should bring that one in because I'm sure all the women college players, top players, would love to come to All-Star Weekend and play in the game and showcase their skills. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great. Not only that, like, the league already doesn't have that many roster spots and things like that. We've always spoken about things to do after college. If you don't make it to the league, it's a great way to network as well for those young players and open opportunities for them in other ways, even if it's broadcasting or just having them involved more, the younger generation.
Yes, and so one thing that was become a big subject with the WNBA is that they are trying to negotiate a new contract, have a new collective bargaining agreement, and so yesterday during the game, before the game and pregame warm-ups, WNBA women made a statement. They wore shirts that said,
"Pay us what you owe us."
Right,
We're on the shirts.
Pay us what you owe us, and then we've talked about last few weeks or so how the WNBA is having expansion and adding new teams. They even added one new team this year, the Golden State team, Valkyrie. And but I saw the president of the Players Union, the Women's Players Union. I believe she's the president. She's very high up on the list of the top-ranked officials with the Players Association, Players Union. Satu Sabali, one of the stars of the game. I heard her talking a couple of days ago about how she was not sure if expansion was the best thing for the WNBA right now because the current players who are trying to negotiate a new contract, they're still fighting for things that they feel like they don't even have already. So now so now the league is trying to putting emphasis on players who are not even here yet and trying to put more teams when she's saying they've not shown that they can, give the current players that they have
what they actually deserve.
Yeah. So
President is Nneka Gubake, of course, assisted by other players like Satu and Kelsey Plum, who are highly involved as well. But I think she's correct. It's like, if we can't take care of the product we have right now, your current employees aren't happy. How is adding more going to help with the situation if we can't even fund what we have going on right now? And a lot of it is holding owners more accountable to things like practice facility. Is no reason why professional basketball players should be sharing with community centers or practicing in high school gyms. And it's like you want to add more teams just so they can suffer and go through the same things. You have players like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird who, when you really look at it, their overseas career is better than their WNBA career because they've had to play overseas every single year while they were playing in the WNBA because the overseas career is what was holding them up financially. The WNBA money was put away money or set aside savings because they couldn't survive off of those contracts. And a lot of people say, oh well, they weren't making profit. I mean, but now it's time that they do get more percentage of their jersey sales because they're selling way more jerseys. They're selling way more tickets. You can't 2,000-3,000 people to 18,000 people now at Barclays Center every night. So I think they're right. The players have until October 31st to come up with a deal, with an agreement. And hopefully they will, because without this agreement, there can't be an expansion draft, and there's going to be an expansion draft every single year till 2030, till the Philadelphia team comes into play.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and that's why the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is so big, because and then there are people out there who I see who definitely will hate on Caitlin Clark, and but if we want the league to her phenomenon has really helped the league, it's helped revenues, helped the league grow, it's helped attention. So that's why she's so important, and why you want her out there, and why people who are trying to hate on her is why you can't, because her involvement is very key, and she's someone who, we talk about having more All-Star events, and if you had a one-on-one, I mean, if she was to be a part of that, that would be huge for the league too. If she was to get into the 3-point contest, that would be huge for the league. Her in the All-Star game, huge for the league.
That Caitlin Clark will participate in,
I mean,
will bring the right amount of fans.
And the game that she had against the Liberty about a month ago or so, when the Liberty had their first loss, and the way she performed, and the way she was hitting shots from the deep out, it reminded you of what you see Steph Curry doing in the NBA.
Yeah.
And we even heard Rebecca Lobo, one of the all-time greats. She said she broadcasted that game, and she said that she had seen something from Caitlin Clark, her doing that she had never seen before in a women's game. So, and that's what, as a basketball fan, that's what you want to see. But since that game, she hasn't played as well since then, and she's had injuries.
She has been dealing with several injuries, one groin, hand.
But that's why she's so important,
But I really hope the Players Association can come into an agreement with the WNBA. It is important that they get what they deserve. It's really unfair that professionals have to get a second job, like playing overseas, after spending. There's no rest for them. I mean, you finish the WNBA season after the summer is over, going straight overseas. I mean, there's some players that you saw had to leave their WNBA duties and go participate with their countries because that's what gets them paid. So the fact that the WNBA allows that to have players, does the NBA allow? I mean, I know basketball seasons don't run at the same time, like overseas seasons and NBA. But is that something that would be allowed in the NBA for a player to opt out of his contract and then come back?
No.
Right.
Nah. Yeah, and it's like, and the players in the NBA, like I said, the overseas seasons go on the same time as the NBA season, which in the women's game is not the case because the women's season overseas goes on at the same time as the NBA season. And then when the NBA season has, like in the summertime, when there's no NBA, there's no women's basketball overseas, their pro leagues. So in WNBA, they have their league during the summer when the NBA is not playing. So the NBA is not, I guess, taking away some of the audience, even though I think, I have thought at times if the WNBA was the same time the NBA, maybe it would be better because more people are into that basketball mindset.
Yeah.
But because the women's college is during the same time, and the women's college, definitely up until the last year or two, has always been more popular than the WNBA.
Yeah.
Just because it has more tradition, and it's been around longer. But like with Caitlin Clark and Angel coming in, and their rivalry, maybe that has changed or started to change. And like the pros should always be the most popular level because that's where the best players are. That's the best competition. But I think that with the women's off season, it's interesting because these women, like you said, the international league for them, it's more money because the leagues are longer for one.
Yeah.
But home is where they get the glory and people can know who they are by playing in the WNBA. Everybody wants to play at home. You want American fans to know who you are. And WNBA is a serious league, but it's shorter, so they're getting less money. But now you see some women in WNBA who are making enough money where they're not playing internationally because, say this past off season.
But not because of their WNBA salaries, but because of sponsorships and NIL.
Gotcha.
I mean,
that makes
Angel
sense.
Reese walked into the league already being millionaire.
Caitlin Clark. Right. Yeah.
So it's not because they...
Right. Okay.
The league is paying them more, but just because of the attention and the fan engagement on social media has allowed these partnerships with these big brands and
like your question, and so I forgot. I was trying to remember your question. So you asked if an NBA player could go overseas when assigned to a team, and NBA teams would definitely not want them playing for nobody else. Yeah. And because they make so much money, NBA players can accept that.
And that's where the difference is at. Is that they don't have that financial burden of how am I gonna pay my bills for the rest of the winter? And they play overseas. They come back. Sometimes training camp and overseas seasons overlap, so they can't even get into training camp. Don't have time to rest. Same thing with All-Star. I mean, the first thing Stewie said once the game was over is like, we play on Tuesday. What kind of All-Star break is this?
Yeah. I know, but that's rough. It's like that with all the leagues because like the MLB, they had the All-Star game on Tuesday, and so they were back playing on Friday. And like it used to be, they'll be back on Thursday. And NBA, I can remember when the NBA would have their All-Star game on Sunday, and now they get back on like Thursday. I think they start back up again. But it used to be they would have the game on Sunday, and then they would be back like the next Tuesday. Yeah. So it's like and these players, they call it the All-Star break. But when you are an All-Star, you have a lot of commitments, with like the media commitments and all this other stuff, and then the charity stuff.
So is it really a break?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. I mean, I know our girls did not have a break one bit. If you joined into the 72-hour Stud Bud stream, if you haven't heard of it, I mean, I think we've all heard of it. Even the Lynx mascot dyed his hair pink to match Courtney and Lakeisha Heidemann.
That's funny.
And it's cool to see how much attention they've been getting. Over 20,000 live viewers for 72 hours straight. It's on this platform called Twitch. It's the new big thing. I bet you've heard of Kai Cenat.
Yeah.
It's the new wave streamers. When YouTube first started and people would make like their YouTube videos and get ready with me and things like that. Now that's moved on to streamers and Twitch, where they just stream, hit record on the computer, on the desktop or their phones, and just show their whole life and create content. Not much to it. They just do a lot of silly stuff, but it's really good to see their personalities. Like, you get a deep dive into these players, actually get to know them, and I think that's what has attracted so many viewers, because they're actually seeing the behind the scenes of all these players and their personalities, giving a chance to actually fall in love with them and not just seeing them on the court. I mean, a bunch of people was like, I didn't know Marina Mabrey was so funny, because every time you see her on the court, you think she's ready to fight somebody, but that's just basketball, actually putting attention into these players, which is something the every time I would go into the live, I couldn't believe what I was watching, seeing all these players. Jackie Young is known for being quiet, and she was there having a great time, so they were able to enjoy themselves and have a little break, a little party break with their colleagues and network and things like that.
Yes. Definitely. Okay, you know what? We should get to our
bracket.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The WNBA continues on Tuesday with Indiana paying the New York Liberty a visit. So tune into that this upcoming week. And we'll move on to our Who is the Greatest Women's Basketball Player of All Time. Samori and I have made a list of players to choose. I've created a bracket to really put an end to this conversation of so many great players, so many talented players that have played in the WNBA. Not only the WNBA, but also women's college basketball. And we're here to decide who we think is the greatest to ever do it. Starting with the first four in. We have a bracket of 32, but we have an extra 4 players that we threw in there that are fighting for the number 8 seed in each of our regions. At Region A, for 8th seed, we have Teresa Weatherspoon versus Rebecca Lobo. In Region 2, we have Dina Nolan versus Cheryl Miller. Region 3, Cappie Pondexter versus Ann Myers. And in Region 4, Rebecca Brunson versus the great Caitlin Clark. Starting off in Region A, as Teresa Weatherspoon and Rebecca Lobo. two Liberty legends. Both were in the league in 1997 when it first started for the Liberty. Teresa Weatherspoon, known as our leader, two-time Defensive Player of the Year for the Liberty in 97 during his inaugural season, and in 98, five-time All-Star for the Liberty, four-time final appearance. As we know, the Liberty didn't win a championship until last year, but she was still a huge part of those final runs. Especially, she is known for her being a facilitator, being such a great passer, and being one of the best defensive guards.
Mm-hmm.
But famously known for that shot in 99, which helped them reach the finals, average 5 points per game and 5 assists per game in her career. Teresa Weatherspoon, the floor general, and versus Rebecca Lobo, who was also on that team in 97, played for the Liberty until 01. Definitely had, I think, a better college career.
Quick question. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So this is Rebecca Lobo versus Teresa Weatherspoon?
Yes.
See, okay. Quick. I have a quick beef with one of the stud buds.
Uh-oh.
Because she's going around calling herself Teaspoon, or like her IG handle was Teaspoon.
Oh, Letitia Heidemann. She's not the OG Teaspoon.
I was like, what's going on here to call her Teaspoon? I was like, I only know one Teaspoon, you know?
I know, that's right. We only know one teaspoon, and that's Teresa Weatherspoon. But, I think that's always been her nickname since before all this social media. Like, that's always been her Instagram handle. If I ever get a chance to interview her when she comes to the Liberty, I am actually going to ask her that, because I want to know where she got her nickname from. Is it because of Teresa Weatherspoon? Could be.
Right. It's got to be.
Right?
Or at least from influence. Okay, so now we have Rebecca Lobo and Teresa Weatherspoon, both original Liberty there. So they're one of the Final Four end matches?
Yes, one of the Final Four for Region A. Just gave a little bit on Teresa Weatherspoon and her point guard, our floor general, and now to Rebecca Lobo, like I said, not drafted, but was one of those original players who signed with Liberty in 97, played until 01. In college, had a great college run with Gino Riemo, was part of that undefeated season, 35-0 in 95, right before the WNBA started. In her career, averaged 6 and 7.
Yeah, she was Liberty's first star, even though her Liberty WNBA career was really disappointing. A lot. The biggest reason was because of the injuries. Yeah. But like before the league, like when the league was first announced, and it was the women's NBA, and you had the New York team, Rebecca Lobo after winning the championship with UConn, like that was huge. That was huge. Yeah,
it was huge. I mean, that was in 95, and I believe they went to the Olympics in 96. And she was part of that team.
Yeah, 96, yeah.
And part of that team.
Yes. And so that was big. And then the WNBA came the next year in 97, yeah.
Right. And we definitely, as Liberty, probably definitely expected more from her. Especially what they saw, what she was able to do in college.
Yeah.
And in this instance, I really think Teresa has the edge just because of being able to make it to 4 finals appearance for the Liberty. Yeah, not being able to win one, but just being that anchor, being that defensive player, that facilitator. And without her, I don't think the Liberty would have made it to 4 finals.
You know what? So this is cool. So with each matchup, like we'll debate, and then if we can't come to an agreement on who should move on, it'll be like the possession arrow. Like one time it'll be you'll have the final say. Then it'll be my turn. So the possession arrow can start with you on the first one.
Why you disagree?
I think I know. I hear what you're saying. I totally do. But you know, I have a soft spot on my heart for Rebecca Lobo. Cause like for me, she was the first great women's player that I can remember with UConn when they were undefeated, the first undefeated team. You know, we look at UConn's dynasty. You know, they're great. They're the most storied women's basketball program ever, ever. Pro, college. So that college team with Gino, they won so many, and her team was the first great UConn team. You know what's interesting about Gino? I think he was there for like 10 years or more before he won his first championship. So like you say, Rebecca, she was the first great player, she led the first great team championship undefeated. So like that was so huge at the time. See, this is before you were born.
Yeah, it was. I mean, a lot of this is before I was born.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I agree with your point of view, though.
Yeah.
What she was able to do in college, that was the first undefeated season, 35-0.
Was it? I mean, it was for UConn. I'm not sure.
For UConn.
Yeah, it might have been for in the women's game period. I'm not sure.
I'll fact check that, but I don't think.
But definitely for UConn, it was the first undefeated team, and so like that was so big. And then the Olympic thing, like she was really big with that too. In '96, and then Teresa Weatherspoon.
She didn't play as much in the Olympic because you had Tina Thompson, Leslie, Cheryl Swoops. She was more of that rookie, soaking it in, but it was so like it was because the WNBA had not started yet, so it was like all the great women players were playing overseas, but like to me, I would feel like Rebecca Lobo was probably the biggest star at that point of all of them, or just because she was coming off of that, she was like fresh off of the undefeated UConn championship. And like I said, there was no WNBA back then, so that was like a year or two before it started. So, the women's college game was the biggest thing in women's basketball. And like in a lot of ways, it still is at times. But especially then with no WNBA, so like for women's basketball in this country, like she was the one who everybody she's the biggest star right now, and like Cheryl Swoops had done it a little bit before. Lisa Leslie, like she was she was big, but she had done a little bit before. So it's interesting, but and they were very similar to the first men's dream team in '92. Where like they were all iconic, and it was like it didn't really even matter what anybody did. They were just all like so big and rock stars, and they just beat everybody easily. So the women's '96 team, that was like the first women's pro team, and Rebecca Lobo was such a star at that time. So yeah, I see your point of view, and I agree at that time how big of a star she was. But when you look at the organization that they both started with and they both played for, and all said and done, I think Teresa Weatherspoon had a bigger impact on the Liberty organization than Lobo did. Yeah, Lobo.
Yes. No, you're right. So
and that's why I really go with Teaspoon. Because professionally, Teaspoon's impact was greater than Lobo's. I know Lobo's still around the game. Just the fact that she's an analyst on ESPN has always been around it and been a huge part of the league. But when we're talking about on the court and what she was able to do, I really think Teaspoon has an edge on what she's done for the Liberty organization.
Yeah, so she definitely had the better pro career. So one had the better pro career and one had the better college career.
Right.
So yeah, so if you wanna,
I mean, they both won championships. Teaspoon won a championship.
In college
with Louisiana
Tech. Oh, she did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
In let me see what year she won. In '98. So not too.
What? 88 probably.
88. Sorry. Yes, 1988.
Okay.
Sorry, she was already in the league in '98.
A few years after Kim Mulkey won for the same school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll go with Teresa Weatherspoon on this one. She is our final 8 for bracket. Sorry, for Region A. Moving on to Region B, we have your girl Cappie Pondexter, another huge player, Liberty legend as well, and Ann Myers, first player to be drafted in the NBA.
Yes, that's a tough one.
I know, that's a very tough one. We have Cappie Pondexter, who played from 2006 to 2018. Played for Rutgers. I know that's where you really got introduced to her, covering Rutgers, playing here in the Tri-State.
Yeah.
Started off in Phoenix with the Phoenix Mercury. That's where she won her 2 WNBA championships. In 2007, she was the MVP, Finals MVP for that championship run. In 2009 again, then was part of the Liberty organization, is the leading scorer for the New York Liberty. Or if not one, she could be 2, either her or Tina Charles, but they're top 3 for sure.
Oh, okay, nice.
7-time All-Star, 3-time first All-WNBA. Just one of the greatest, ISO scorers. Just an elite scorer, was averaging over 20 points per game for multiple seasons. Named top 25 WNBA player of all time. Ended top 10 in scoring when she retired. And was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2024. That's my piece on Cappie Pondexter. And Myers, very, very early years before the league was introduced, played pro for the New Jersey Gems, the Women's Basketball League, a league before the WNBA. And was the first player to sign an NBA contract with the Indiana Pacers in 1979. Didn't play an NBA game, but was able to play preseason. Won a championship with UCLA, and not NCAA, but AIAW before the NCAA. Silver medalist in '76, and is also in the WNBA Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Nice. Yeah, you know what? You definitely props to Ann Myers. I would say Cappie.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, being in a Finals MVP in a team where you have Diana Taurasi, you have Dawana Bonner, you have legends, and only your second year in the league. She was drafted in 06 and already at 07 was able to do so much. I agree. Let's go with Cappie Pondexter as the 8th seed for our second region. Still have to huge shout out for Ann Myers. I mean, it's just a great accomplishment to even be considered to be drafted in the NBA. You must have been a great baller. I'm gonna have to look at some of her clips because I haven't seen her play. That's before my time, but then
mine too.
Moving on, we have, let me see, a second, Rebecca Brunson and Caitlin Clark. Now, this is very interesting.
This is also first four?
Yes, this is all first four.
Okay.
This is for our third region. 8th seed, Rebecca Brunson versus Caitlin Clark. Why we have Caitlin Clark in the first four is because a lot of these players are retired. There's barely any players who are still in the league and have won something. Yes, we think about Caitlin's cultural impact, which has been huge for the growth. When it comes to WNBA ticket sales, ratings, fan engagement, you have to mention Caitlin Clark when you talk about those things and the growth of the league. But that's why we have her in the 8th seed. And we have her against the powerhouse. Rebecca Brunson is a 5-time WNBA champion.
I'm saying
the
who?
The most titles in WNBA history.
Oh, wow.
She won, I believe, the most titles in WNBA history in 05, 2011, 2013, 2015, 2017, when those was part of that dynasty with Minnesota. Got her first with Sacramento. Just an elite rebounder. And has always been like a key player, maybe not a superstar like you think about Maya Moore when you think about Minnesota Lynx, and she was on that team. You probably don't think Rebecca Brunson, but she was kind of the glue player for that team. And 4-time All-Defensive First Team and 3-time All-Star.
You're tough. You can't get Caitlin an easier draw.
I know, right? I mean,
yeah, that's tough. So okay, no, I mean that's.
But if you think about Caitlin's impact, like she is the #1 NCAA scorer. Brought a program like Iowa. Not that Iowa's irrelevant, but had Iowa competing against LSU, South Carolina, and UConn in Final Fours. Program with such great history. Beat not only the top scorer in women, but also with men. Beat who was it? Pete Maravich?
Yes.
In NCAA, in NCAA history. 2-time Naismith Player of the Year, finalist. Won it 1 time. And I think the game wouldn't be where it's at right now without Caitlin Clark. So when you're thinking about Rebecca Brunson, a winner's a winner. Right. But when you think about Caitlin Clark, she's a once-in-a-lifetime generation player.
So Caitlin Clark is moving on?
I think Caitlin Clark is moving on.
I think so, too. I felt Caitlin was about to be gone. I was about to be like, dang, you about to get rid of her in the first round. Because that's a tough matchup right there. Because Rebecca Brunson has a lot under her belt,
Right, 5-time championship. But when you think 5-time championship, who were on that team, Who else was on that team?
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. So you know what? So we have one more Final Four, right?
We have one more.
You know what?
We have Nina Nolan and Cheryl
what?
Miller, but we gotta save that for next time.
Save that for next week.
Because Cheryl Miller
with other rounds, yes.
It's too good, and we have a long list and a long argument for that one.
Yes. So you all can catch me at 1 o'clock on the WBAI. I'm going there now. I'll see you all later. Have a great Sunday. And
see you guys. Follow me on Women Hoops, Kayla Burrell, and tune in to Indiana versus New York Liberty on Tuesday night.
Yep. All right, y'all. We're out. Peace.